Controversy breeds.
Ooh, I guess you're recording. Anything controversial to add?
No, controversy time breeds excitement, right?
It totally
All you got
does.
to do is turn on the news every day to see that. You
Uh-huh.
know what, Tom? I'm convinced. I am convinced that the world we're living in is a scripted WWE kinds of thing, right?
Right.
We all know it's fake, but we're all invested in the drama,
Sure. Right. It's
right?
the Sims.
Right. And I was never really into WWE, but there's always the good guy and there's always the villain, right?
Oh yeah.
But you kind of like the villain. The villain has a backstory. Like the villain wants you to feel bad for them because, because of their circumstances is how they became the villain.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I see no parallels in our current universe that can line right up with that at all.
Villains? No.
Yeah. So yeah, the world is a WWE just big cage match right now.
Well, welcome to the show. Here we go. Let's get into it. Thank you guys for being here. It is, and we invest so much time and energy into it, don't we? It's the Royal Rumble.
Watch the drama.
What is
Anyway,
that?
Tom, good morning. Happy darn diddly doodly. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you. Let's get
Yeah.
let's get into some stuff today. Now, people are really having a difficult time and are well, worried, that's to say the least, but
Yeah.
fearful, anxious, all the above. And they've invested time and energy into the simulation, so to
Okay.
speak, but we're still living it.
Yeah. And, we mentioned a little bit before you hit record, not just us, but other colleagues that we know in the biz that are counselors, therapists, whatever.
Yeah.
Our phones are ringing off the hook.
Mhm.
I mean, the world is really struggling right now. Lots of people are struggling. And we're getting a lot of people in our own lives, just friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances. When they find out what it is we do for a living,
Mhm.
everyone has to jump. Oh, you're a therapist. Well, so my aunt, and here we go.
Yep. Mhm. Oh yeah. Well, so let's talk about that today. So, aside from the people that we help on a regular basis
Hmm.
as part of our career, what
Hmm.
about the people that are not our clients, whether
Right.
that's friends and family and acquaintances, neighbors, when they find out, oh, this is what you do, and they're
Uh-huh.
intrigued, and of course you get I don't know how you do that, those types of
Right.
things. But then they're like, so answer me this. So I've got this cousin who,
Right.
right, or my best friend's daughter's friend from work, has a son who,
Right.
and then they want to get some information from us.
Yeah.
And of course,
Right.
we feel inclined based on our experience and knowledge and
Uh-huh.
in the field of mental health to offer something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so funny. And how many times have we heard the rapist joke, right? Therapist, the rapist.
Yeah, the rapist.
Yeah, and just to the world out there, it doesn't get any funnier. Like every time you tell the joke, it just doesn't, it
Right.
doesn't get any funnier.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, the irony. Yeah.
I
Um,
say, what if I were a therapist, but also an analyst?
hey, that was something.
Ew.
That's an analyst therapist.
Yeah,
Oh, never mind.
never mind.
Never mind. Yeah. So Tom, I had this. Yeah, this actually occurred to me maybe a year ago, as I was out with a group of friends and somebody that we know, an acquaintance that don't know very well. Um, I guess found out was a therapist, or someone mentioned somebody that said something about me being a therapist, and
Hmm.
she came right out at me like. So, why do they teach you in therapist school that you tell adult children to cut their parents off and go no contact? And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's, I understand that. Yeah, that's a really tough situation. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Well,
For the
Tom,
record, that's not part of the curriculum.
yeah, it's actually not what they teach us, but you know, yeah. So that was funny. So then I got through that situation and diffused, and you know,
Hmm.
got a little miffed, a little irritated, but got through the situation, and I turned to my group of friends and I said, from now on, if anybody asks what I do, I sell propane and propane related accessories, like Hank Hill on, yeah, because I no longer am a counselor.
I know when me and a close friend when we were in the Marines together and like overseas, like we'd go out in town. Of course, clearly you're
Hmm.
military, right?
Hmm.
There's a look and a feel to military. Plus, you're a foreigner
Right.
in another country. Anyway, but we when people would ask, that question, we'd say, we play baseball. We play American baseball.
Right. We're baseball players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. But even when I don't share what I do for a living, I feel like it's written on my face
Uh,
somehow because everybody I come into contact with, is it just my
yes.
energy feel that people
Yeah.
just start like dumping stuff? It could be at Publix
Yes.
supermarket, at the cash register, and I'm
Yeah.
in line and somebody starts telling me their life story.
Yeah. Well, in time, I think it's maybe who we are. I mean, what chicken and egg, right? So, are who we are? We have our aura, our energy, and that drove us into our profession, or did our profession kind of craft our aura and energy? So, who knows what
Right.
the answer to that question is? But,
Right.
but you're right. I mean, people can just feel that we're safe people to, hey, by the way, this is a person I'm going to dump my life story onto because it happens to me all the time too. It's
Mhm.
so bizarro. It's like I'm out and I'll come home with oh my God, I know more about this person I have never met before.
Right. And we love helping. I mean,
Yeah,
that's who we are. So
right,
we feel, not an obligation per se, but we feel this pull to be of service and to be helpful instead of telling somebody to go F off. We're
right,
going to be as helpful as we can. It may be brief though,
right. Yeah,
but yeah, we have to hold so much.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
we don't want somebody when we're on our off time out in life or at a family party or we want to be able to separate that and at least have our own personal time where we don't have to hold space for anybody and everybody.
and yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be of service, and that's kind of who I am and you are. And it's true. I mean, how many people in our lives do we know that have just purged their deepest, darkest secrets and they're not clients of ours?
Yeah.
And we still hold that.
Yeah.
So I know more about some of our friends than I care to, but
Yeah.
I'll hold that, and that's fine. I mean, we talk about the part of the magic of therapy is just getting things off your chest. Once it's out of your
Mhm.
head and out through your lips, it becomes real. It's got energy. It exists in the world, and then you can deal with it in a different way,
Mhm.
right? We all hold thoughts in our head, crazy thoughts that you don't really want to tell other people sometimes.
Mhm.
And when you do, it can become a problem because then now it lives. You've said that it
Yeah.
has energy.
Mhm.
Um, so that's part of the magic is just getting those thoughts out of your head and pass through your lips. And yep, absolutely, we will hold that stuff. That's no
Even
problem.
if you're not our client, we
Yes,
will hold it.
we
And
still will do that.
yep, I hold that sacred. So if
Yep.
somebody's sharing something with me, it's not because I'm off the clock that now I'm going to divulge all that to anybody and
Right.
everybody. Ooh, guess what, Sharon did,
Right.
I'm going to hold that and
Yeah.
it's going to be
Right.
confidential. So know that I think most therapists they're built that way. So I can't speak for all of them, but I know
Right.
you would. I definitely do. Right. Somebody shares something. I respect that,
Yeah.
honor that. It's sacred. I feel privileged,
Absolutely.
overwhelmed, but privileged, and I'll hold
Mm.
that. That'll just be private
Yeah.
between you and I, even if we don't have the relationship of therapist slash patient client.
Right. And it is a privilege and an honor to have the trust of people like that. You know, my oldest son is in med school, and he, was always interested in whatever surgery, anesthesiology, or whatever. But in high school and college, when everyone learned that his dad was a therapist, right? So then they would tell him their deepest, darkest secrets, right? Because that's how, he's a junior therapist, right? Because his dad's that's how that works, right?
Yeah.
So, but he would he'd call me and say, "Hey, my friend said this, that. What do you think?" And I'd give my opinion. And and he holds their secrets. Obviously, keeps his mouth shut. And he was so moved, kind of by that experience, that now his track is psychiatry. He's going to be a psychiatrist.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. So I guess he got the energy or the yeah.
Caught the bug.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Yeah, people just will tell you everything.
Yep. Well, the professional relationship that we build with clients is powerful and robust. And so if you're catching me and you're not a client, patient, we don't have that transactional, piece that we haven't identified that that's the relationship, and you're just a friend or an acquaintance or somebody, a leaf out there, right?
Hmm.
Um, it, it would be more beneficial because the help or the limited help that I will offer in that brief interaction is not as powerful or as robust as you'd get when you do build that relationship with the therapist, with a
Absolutely.
educated, licensed, experienced therapist. So if you're basing the help from a therapist based on a 5 minute interaction,
Right.
in my driveway and while you were walking, like don't base don't base it on that.
That's an excellent point because that's not when we're doing this on the fly, that's not therapy.
Yeah.
It's just supportive listening.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good point.
Because I have people that are,
See, I talked to you for 10 minutes and I don't feel any better, so therapy sucks.
yeah, right. Or you're asking for a solution to fix that problem for yourself or for, your friend's cousin,
Mhm.
aunt's colleague, son, right? Like
Right.
I'm not going to be able to provide the
Right.
true help in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or,
Right.
in line at the supermarket.
And I mean, that leads to a broader issue. I mean, even the clients that we have, that were officially their therapists, there is no silver bullet to this stuff, right? There is no, people want to come in and, talk for an hour and then you give them, 5 sentences of life advice and then their life is magically better and changed and turned around. That's not how this works.
No.
You're an accumulation of your experiences. You have developed organically and, socially these issues over a long period of time. They don't just subside like that.
Correct. Mhm.
So, yeah.
There is tremendous benefit from coming in and talking to a professional who's holding the space for you. A
Hmm.
lot of clients that I have, they arrive at some of their own conclusions as we're talking through
Oh,
and
yeah.
processing a little bit, and then they go out and make changes in their lives. And
Hmm.
boy, that is an amazing thing.
Yeah. We're just a Sherpa helping them down their path of their life journey. So
Yeah,
they are the experts. People are the experts on their own lives. I don't have the answers to how do you help you fix your life, but I can help you walk down that path and come up with some different solutions. And it's not one thing. It's going to be a combination of things,
hmm,
and it's going to be consistent, persistent utilization of different techniques, skills, coping skills, lifestyle changes, thinking
hmm,
patterns, you know.
hmm. Don't
Um,
you love this thing too? Well, you gosh, I don't want to phrase it. Well, you have to listen to me because I'm paying you. Right.
uh-huh,
And all the different permutations around that, like of course you're going to be validating to me. I'm paying you. Or of course, like you're my friend because, I'm paying you to be my friend. Or this is sad that I don't have actual supportive people in my life that I can talk to. Look, we're not here because of money.
Yeah, believe me, we could do a lot
Trust.
but different things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're here because this is our archetype. This is what our
Hmm.
lot. This is who we have through gifts, through decisions. This is where we're meant to be. This gives our lives meaning and purpose. And I don't know another way to be. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I could do other things, but it wouldn't be as fulfilling than this. And it's definitely not about money. So that just happens to be, well, I need to, you know, pay bills and have food and stuff like that. Like, but not here to make a
Let's
killing.
talk about your definition of how relationships are transactional.
Yeah. Right.
What? What are you talking?
You see, you're like a tree, and then there's the
And
yeah.
then, we have the other people that come to us and go, "Oh man, I've seen a couple therapists. It doesn't work for me, but my wife is forcing me to come here," kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's like, well, I'm sorry that you have that opinion of therapy. Therapy is about timing and fit. It's got to be the right time in your life, and it's got to be the right fit with the right counselor. And you've got to put some time and energy. It's got to be the right time in that you have time and energy to put towards this process.
Hmm.
It's therapy is not about showing up for an hour a week. That's the baseline. The therapy is what happens the other hours of that week between
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
So, and then they'll say, well, the therapist and I just talked about the weather and baseball and, you know, what was happening. And I'm like, well, that's not really therapy, but okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if that's what's happening in your relationship, with your therapist, take a look at that.
Sure.
Sometimes we need to be a little more slow in the process if people are slow to form relationships, slow to, we have to increase that comfortability level. I mean, sometimes we'll do a little of the surfacey stuff, but that should not be the majority of your time.
Right. And you know what? Please, and I encourage people to do this, whether they're clients or not. Do your best to ask for the things that you need to
Mm-hmm.
advocate for yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you're in therapy and you're talking about baseball and sports or movies or whatnot, I mean, a little bit of that is okay, as
Mm-hmm.
far as rapport building and connection. But if you're not actively working on some things, then,
Right.
like even if somebody comes in and talks about, and has a whole list of different things that they talk about, we're actively working on, like, what was that like for you? What was your experience? Here are
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts and maybe my perspective on it. We're actively doing something, but if it's just, you're talking with a friend, then it's not really therapy.
Right.
Could it be therapeutic? Sure, in a way, if you feel better afterwards, you had somebody to
Mm-hmm.
talk to. If you don't have a lot of people that actively listen to you and hold space for you, then I guess it
Mm-hmm.
could be healing or helpful, but not really therapy.
Right. If people have significant problems with, appropriate and um, relationships, have problems forming relationships, trusting relationships with other people, maybe role modeling what a good trusting relationship is, maybe that
Yeah.
can be helpful. But,
Yeah.
there's some, and the other thing that kills me is, when people come in and they start, it's like, well, tell me why you're here. What is it that you want to improve on? What do you want
Yeah.
to, what's your goals? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. There's been some specific people, beautiful people who have elaborated on how the relationship, how the therapy has actually helped them when I didn't feel like I was doing
Hmm.
anything to be
Yeah.
helpful for. And
Right.
like brought me to tears, them describing, how the relationship has been and how much it has helped them. And
Hmm.
I didn't realize, and it was like, wow, okay. Thank you.
Well, and there's a lot of psychological theories around it's the relationship that is part of the healing process. People that haven't had good, strong, trusting relationships with people, um, that's as important to know that it can happen. If they've been let down, disappointed by everybody in their life, this is a relationship where that hasn't happened. So that
Right.
can learn to experience what can be possible.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a lot of times where you are like, I don't know where this is going, but you know,
I'll
but
keep showing up.
we'll give it a little time and see how this goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then there's always that guy where they want to talk football, baseball for 35 minutes, and then hey, we're about wrapping up. Oh yeah, by the way,
Doorknob
did I
confession.
mention that you
Yeah.
know I took a gun to my head last night?
Right. You're like,
What?
"Oh, lead with that. Lead with that next time, please.
Okay.
You know, we're not automatons. We're not robots.
All right.
Um, we're human beings, and we are fallible. We have intrusive thoughts, and we sometimes make funny noises. Like, it's, and I think that's a good reminder that, when we're out, especially out in public, interacting with people, that just because I'm a therapist, then all of a sudden your view of me changes, and then you feel like I'm this robot that now can offer mental and emotional and behavioral health on the spot. And I can't. My mind's thinking about, um, getting these getting these Uncrustables home, you know.
Before they melt.
Because you got to eat them cold. I don't know. I like eating them cold anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Getting this Halo Top peanut butter cup ice cream back so I can slay it.
Right. So yeah, yeah, we had to write a book, Tom, about all our funny things about being a therapist, all
Hmm.
of our experiences. Maybe.
What do you think is like the off the wall funniest thing that's happened to you out like in town? Not,
Hmm. Hmm. I did have somebody once who I didn't know. I mean, it was somebody I didn't, and not somebody that was like a complete stranger, but somebody that I knew on the tertiary I'd seen before, but not really, had any connection with or conversation, really any conversations with. Learned I was a therapist, pulled me aside, and then told me that they were suicidal
hmm.
actively.
You're like, oh, okay. And
Uh,
and you're not going to be like, hey man, I'm just getting some chips. So
exactly. So you got to go into mode. Yeah. I'm like, I can't, ethically and good with good conscience, just let this because I just couldn't let it go. So now I'm going into assess mode and crisis mode and
mhm,
plans, intent, and resources, and what's our next step? And yeah, that
mhm.
was a fun one.
I walked into a drugstore. There's, insert which one, big chain one. It was one of those. And it was later on at night. I like going later on at night. So it's probably like 10-ish, 10:30 maybe.
Mm.
And I walk in and, I'm a frequent flyer. So they all, hey, Tom, hey, Norm. So when I walked in this time, they were like, I was like, "Hey," and they did the eye roll, right? I'm like, "Oh boy!" And I could feel the energy. Like, remember when we worked at the psych hospital, and when you just walk in the door, you just like
Oh,
feel,
you knew.
mm,
Yeah.
it's indescribable.
All
And
right.
I felt that, and I was like, "Oh boy!" And I mean, I'm like t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops, right? It's
Uh,
10:30. I'm getting sundries, right?
right.
At the drugstore. And so I was like, fuck. And there was a woman in there who had loaded up like 3 or 4 shopping carts with just all kinds of crap and clearly not in touch with reality, just having a moment, very disheveled and disorganized. And they said that this crazy woman has been in there for the past 2 hours, just going up and down the aisles, grabbing different carts and, like um moving things around, and they didn't know what to do. And so, of course, well, I'm a therapist, and clearly she's having a very difficult time. Not sure what's happening, but we need to get her to a place for some help because it was crystal clear that
Right.
this wasn't going to a good place. So, they were like, sometimes people freeze when they're in that kind of situation. They don't know what to do.
Hmm.
They haven't experienced this. So,
Hmm.
um, I get pull out my phone, call 911, explain the situation, and and of course they're like, stay there because we want to talk to you and you're professional, and maybe you need to do a Baker Act or something like that. So anyway, interacting with the woman, she was not in her right mind. She didn't know where she was, what was happening. And so I didn't end up having to do the Baker Act. They just did a law enforcement Baker Act and took her away. But they were so relieved that I was there to help that situation because they didn't know what to do. It took 2 hours of that.
Hmm.
But of course, that was an extra hour of my
Right.
time by the time I got the
So your
chicken and the ice
Crustables
cream.
definitely thought out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, by the time you get home, you're just like, ah, whatever. So then
Right.
processed it with, my wife, and then just
Uh,
probably watch the
that
show, pet a
that
dog, and went to
is
sleep. But
it is so funny that you bring that up, that we can just walk in and kind of feel the energy. I
mm.
mean, how many times? It's like, oh, what was that movie where the winds in the east are
Yeah.
blowing cold? And you're like,
Yes.
I can feel it.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you and I, we got so good at it. We'd walk on the unit and we're like, yep, I can tell exactly what day it's going to be in the first 5 seconds.
Yep. There's high acuity. Okay.
All right, here we
Here we
go.
go.
Let me strap my boots on.
Yep. hmm So anyway, but we, you know, even though we're talking about how we want to have our own space and time, there's
Hmm.
still like a first responder. Somebody's a first responder, even
Yeah,
if you're off the clock, you go into a situation, you know.
yeah. You're a paramedic. You're not going to let somebody bleed out because you're
Exactly.
not on the clock.
Yeah.
You're a police officer. You're not going to just watch crimes happen because you're off the clock. Well,
Yep.
we're not going to do that either. So, and we don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I
hopefully she
mean,
got to a safe
the best
place.
thing we can do is give people a good taste in their mouth about what a counselor is and what they're not. So
Hmm.
we can at least do that.
Yeah. So I hope you've
Other than
enjoyed
that,
today.
Mrs. Lincoln, how was the theater?
I'm sure you're struggling out there, and we would love to help. So please send in your comments, questions, things you'd like for us to talk about on the show, and to questions at therapyonzip.com, and
Yeah,
we'll answer
we're
them.
here for you. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thanks,
Brett.
Tom.
Have an amazing weekend.
You do the same.
Hmm.
Weather's going to be nice finally.
Yep. So I'll slide home, swing out to the grocery store, grab some Uncrustables. Enjoy the weekend. Anyway, thank you guys for being here and listening. See you soon.